Welcome to Late Night Podcast with Samuel Sanchez, Asha Imuno, our new guests today, um, Daniel, and Ramiro and Christian.
Right. So
Who's
who's
gonna-
going to start us off with the questions today?
I got some questions.
For sure.
All right. How has your music career been so far?
Wait, before we get too far into it, I just want to make sure it's my orientation right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And also, just thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you guys thinking
Oh,
of me
for
and
sure.
stuff.
Well,
Thank you for
thanks
being,
for being here.
No problem.
Of course, man. Anything for the city. But it's been cool so far. It's still getting started. I'm still finding my legs and everything. I've been working on my album that you guys will probably hear pretty soon. It's looking pretty done. I've been making new relationships and things like that. But I'm freshly signed, so there's not much too crazy to talk about yet. But it's been cool.
okay.
Yeah, for sure. And you
Wait,
still
you
stay
said-
out in the Moreno Valley area?
No, I'm actually in LA. I moved to LA like right after I graduated, actually out of necessity.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said you're freshly signed. Is there any more details you can give us, or is that really not something you could share?
Oh yeah, man. I publicly announced my signage a little while ago to a label called B4. It's an imprint of the British label 4AD, and it's awesome. Everybody at the label is awesome. The A&R has been really cool to me. Just building relationships with people there and people at 4AD has been really awesome. Um, the creative directors are really awesome. Shout out Gabriella. But yeah, it's really cool. It's not very limiting at all.
Okay. Yeah, because that's a pretty common problem we see in a lot of artists coming up nowadays is being restricted a lot by their label in terms of like stuff they could put out and just who they can have on their albums and stuff like that. So it's good that you have something flexible, you know?
Yeah, for real. They show me the utmost love in that regard.
I have a question.
Yeah, it's good to see you thriving.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's good. So, what do you do lately? Like, to keep yourself not busy during, or like keep yourself busy during quarantine and stuff.
Man, the biggest thing honestly has been working on music. Like it keeps me sane. It keeps me um, focused on what's important. It's too much going on right now. Like I can't even front with you guys. Like all of this stuff going on in wake of the brother George Floyd, rest in peace. Like has got me my mind racing. The pandemic and everything. Um, just working on music keeps me grounded. But if I'm not doing that, because I can't always do that, I'm either like doing push-ups or watching something on Netflix or trying to find a movie I haven't seen before, listen to songs I haven't heard before. Um, yeah,
That's right.
Sounds good.
Yeah, because during the quarantine, it's good to find a balance between, you time and time for work, because you always got to be able to do both.
Mhm.
Speaking of the George Floyd incident, everything going on, the riots, um, things are getting burned down in Minneapolis. What is your take on that?
man. Um, Desperate times call for desperate measures, man. We're looking at a time in history where um, I can walk down the street doing nothing, completely um, filmed start to finish with a GoPro on my body, and still be killed in cold blood for doing just that, like, and in front of the entire world. And my murderer go scot free. So to me, it's not an issue of whether or not the protesters are in the right or wrong for destroying property, when in reality they're reacting to not even just the destruction of one man, but the destruction of generations of families and loved ones. And it's just mind-boggling to me that people are outraged by people's reaction to what they should be outraged by. You feel me?
Yeah.
The unjustification of the justice towards George Floyd, um, to keep it unbiased, but I don't, in my opinion, I think that it should be The murderer should be locked up. I think the chief of police should be investigated. The people involved, I heard that they were fired, but there
I
was
think one of
like
the
the
guy
whole
that he
PD.
got arrested for third-degree murder.
Yeah, not only the person who did it, the people watching, like anyone could have. It could have went way different.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So, should I start off with the next question? Are you still going to school right now?
Oh no, actually, my the second semester of my senior year was when I made the decision to not go to college, which was a real earth-shattering moment for me because I've always been a super high-performing student, even in spite of like whatever little dumb shit I was getting into in the street or whatever, like, um, and to my family because they knew I made music, they knew that I love music, but that was when I really made the switch, and due to other circumstances, like it ended up being the perfect choice. But yeah, I'm not like by any means bashing the college experience, but it's not for me.
Mm-hmm. So,
As it is for
Yeah.
some people.
here you go.
So
Remy.
on the topic
Yeah.
of school, what would you get? What advice would you give to your freshman self?
My freshman self, man. There's so much I could tell that guy. The first thing I would tell him is that everything's gonna be cool. My freshman year, I was frantic. My freshman year was when um, I found myself alone for the first time, essentially. Um, and I would probably tell myself not to take everything so seriously, and that the things that matter so much now probably won't matter that much later in the grand scheme. That the most important thing is to be true to myself, what I want and need, and loving the people around me.
And how old are you?
I'm 19 now.
19, and you're like living in LA and everything, like all situated.
Yeah, I'm here with my roommates Jasper Typical, Rob Midnight, and Will Pratt.
Damn,
Also raised by the internet.
that's like a perfect example of like success without college. You feel me?
I appreciate that. I really do.
Like I
Um,
respect that, bro.
to get
Like
back on the college or back on the topic of college, what would you do? You have any advice you'd give to somebody who's maybe in their, towards the end of their high school career and is wondering whether or not college is for them? Do you have anything you could say to them?
Of course, yeah. Explore all the options. There are so many options that people don't talk about. Um, I think that it's like an odd pipeline to push on to kids that they have to go to a 4-year university for things to work. Like even if you do want to go the collegiate route, think about community college. It's so much less expensive if they have the course of study that you're into. Entertain that. Entertain technical school. Entertain travel. Entertain every option that's afforded to you because I have so many friends right now who are like even like all of the current events aside, who are already wondering what they're gonna do because they want to drop out and they don't want to hurt their pocket or their parents.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Do you work any like jobs, or is music
Actually,
like
yeah, before the pandemic, I was working in a sports bar, like not too far from Staples Center. But when everything went down, they laid everybody off. So it was good timing though. It was like right before I signed. So
Oh,
yeah,
all that? Right?
yeah,
so
man.
full-time music right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Um, and don't get me wrong, like the lifestyle that I live and that me and my roommates live is by no means glamorous. Like, it's very like paycheck to paycheck right now. Um, this the situation that we have right now is a super blessing, and I couldn't be more thankful for it.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Is there
right.
anything you want to do or any interests or activities that you want to pursue after the quarantine is over?
Man, so many, bro. Like so many people. Honestly, the main thing that I think about is the people that I want to go see and the people that I want to spend time with. Like, I've been just like going insane, sending out all of these texts to people, checking in on them. And I know it's tiring. I know a lot of us don't want to be on our phones. Um, but really, just I want to get distant from my phone. I want to get distant from technology and stuff like that when it's over.
Oh,
Do you have
how
any plans to travel?
Um, Not any plans yet, but definitely some ideas. I would definitely like to get out the country. I'm worried that if I do that, I might not be able to get back in. But um, it's a little too hot for me right now. Um, I've been to France. I've been to Italy. Been to a couple other places. I'd like to see a little more of Europe. That would be really awesome.
damn. So, how like when you used to live in like Mobile, like how was it?
Man, living in Mobile was super bittersweet because on one hand, I had all of my friends, at the end of
Mm.
things, because I didn't always have all of my friends. Um, but on the other hand, it was limiting as fuck. I know y'all know. Oh, can I curse? I
Yeah,
apologize.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
You can
limiting
cut
as
it.
fuck. um, as you guys know, there's not very many opportunities outside of warehouse jobs and minimum wage jobs and desk jobs. Um, and none of those were for me. And at the same time, I was like getting into things I had no business being in. Not necessarily I had no business being in, but I shouldn't have been in. And it just became self-destructive for me. I found myself doing doing the wrong things in the wrong places at the wrong times, and people who do those things either end up dead or locked up or something. Um, but all the while, like I leaned into my academics and into music to find a way to keep my mind off it all. Um, and academics came like with no effort to me, so it became about music really quickly. And eventually, I never really resented the city. I resented the limitation, and it started to make me bitter. And after I had a really bad car crash, um, like just before I graduated, like just before we walked on the stage, my whole perspective of the city changed. It felt like a ghost town to me because I don't know if any of you guys have been in a car crash, but like on impact, especially as the driver, on impact, it's just like nothing flashes before your eyes or anything. At least for me, it's just like, man, this could be it. And I really didn't want it to happen. Um, Not even so much about being in the city, but like I didn't want it to happen with all of those limitations weighing on my neck. You feel me? So I had to get out of there.
Yeah, I
So
feel
would you say that getting out of Mobile was probably one of the best things you could have done slash did?
Yeah, I would say so. And don't get me wrong, like I'm super proud to be from Mobile. Not a lot of people do anything notable from Mobile, and the people who do
yeah,
usually hide it or claim Riverside or claim LA. When I get up, I'm from Mobile still. My phone number is still 951,
Yeah,
and it
that's
always will be.
what's
Um,
up.
but I feel like part of being proud of being from Mobile is like, and part of being a notable person from Mobile is carrying the battery that's in my back to a different city where I can do more, and come back to the city and show people what I did with it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, bro. Like
So
I listened to one of your songs and I listened to the Touch It remix, and I was like,
Dang.
yeah, that shit was like a vibe. I was like, damn, this he got his own style. Like he's not like anyone else.
I
Cause I
appreciate
listened
that,
to
bro.
it and I was like, yeah, I never like, cause that was when I was like into like Tyler, the Creator, Frank Ocean, and all that. So I was like, yeah, he's not like anyone else. Like I never heard any type of stuff like this, but it was pretty heat.
Thank you, dog. That's crazy. I'm pretty sure I archived the Touch It remix on my SoundCloud along with like a few
Yeah,
others, but hit me personally. I'm gonna send you a couple of things.
Oh, for
for sure.
sure.
Yeah, I remember it was we used to go to school. You actually,
Yeah,
and that was when you had like the blonde hair, like the blonde hair. You look
Yeah.
like Frank Ocean. I was like, Frank Ocean.
yeah. Ocean too. We always going Frank Ocean.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got it a
bro.
little bit too much. I can't lie. That's a small part of why I stopped bleaching my hair so much. And even to this day, with this my natural hair color, like I still get it all the time, which is weird.
Hey, bro, but like you're like yourself. You feel me? Like not like anyone else.
Yeah,
I, I
Very
appreciate
slept
that,
on.
man.
keep being you. You know.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
back
Yeah, I'm
on how
also
you said like you said how being from Moval you use that as sort of motivation, like the spark. Have you ever had a have you ever had a time where you're like maybe music isn't it? Maybe I should do something else?
all the time, all the time. I have it even now, like every other day. Like, man, I'm having a hard time with this song. I'm gonna just go be a bioengineer, like, or like, you know, certain things make me feel like I'm out of touch with my core motivation every now and then. It's just a cycle of being an artist. I feel like every artist has that doubt, especially this early on. Um, but I know that at the end of the day, it's part of my purpose. Like I have to see it through, and I lost too much and put too much into it to not see it through.
exactly, bro. So,
Is there
do you have
any
advice for people that's trying to like get out their city and like be something they want to be?
Bruh, first of all, there's gonna be naysayers. There's gonna be people who tell you that it doesn't make sense to leave, or what have you. Assess the situation. They might be right, but at the end of the day, they they can't understand your truth the way you do. And I remember so many people wondering why I wanted to move to LA, wondering why I wanted to put myself in a situation where things are so expensive and et cetera, what when. But like at the end of the day, the way that your trajectory works is up to you. The way that your the path that you're on in life twists and turns is up to you. And um, save save some money before you move if you're gonna move. Save a cool little loot pack. That was one of my mistakes when I moved here. I had like nothing in my pocket, and I made it work. But um, that shit sucks. Don't do that. Make sure
Hmm.
you have a
yeah.
good connection wherever you're going, and that you know where things are, and that you keep in touch with the people where you're from, and keep your head on a swivel because you're somewhere that you're not from for one, but that you keep the thing that made you you when you were where you're from.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's it called? So you and your friends, like are you and your friends, you guys have like a group name called the Internet, I believe.
Oh yeah, raised by the internet. We're
Yeah.
a collective that started initially on the internet, uh, hence the name. But since the collective started, we've had there were a bunch of members originally, but since the collective started, we've slimmed down to 10 of us now, 11 of us, including our good man Brandon Kwan, Bloody Valentine. Um, it's half and half, creative directors, photographers, videographers, artists, and recording artists, producers. Um, and I'm gonna say at least this is my third year in Raised by the Internet.
Third
So
year. That's crazy, bro.
Okay. Is there any
yeah, man.
artists you want to or that you would wish to collab with?
Honestly, that's been one of the things that's been challenging me is making that list because I have I have so many talented artists at my disposal that like I know well enough to call my brother that be in my house and eat my food and you know can be broke with me, look at roaches with me, like if that's the case. Um, and I don't know, a lot of the artists that I've reached out to thus far have kind of been doing their own thing because at the stage that I'm at in my career, the artists that um, the artists that feel like it's worth their time basically are kind of in their own world. but there's a few. There's a bunch of artists. I listen to so much music, so much new music that um, I just keep finding new artists that I would love to work with that are just outside my reach right now. But um, by the grace of God, we gonna get it done. There's too many artists. There's too. The other thing is like I love producing. I love being a producer. I wanna get these beats off for people, Pod, and I want to be able to be taken seriously in the field of production, like, and as a vocalist in the way that like Pharrell is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I got a question. So, getting back on the topic of music, what or who inspired you to do music?
Man, to do music. So from a young age, I was surrounded by music. My
Mm.
family was musical in the church and outside the church. Uh, but beyond that, my mom was just playing so much R&B and soul for me that I gravitated toward like Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson and Prince and the Gap Band real early on. But then later on, I found stuff like Young Thug and Future and um, you know the Dirty South classics, UGK, 8 Ball, MJG, Outkast, like, and it it made me it made me straddle the two worlds for a second, and then I realized that I could form the bridge between them, and um, at the same time make an impact on people, and I was smitten right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, like I feel like you have like those type of like hype songs you get hyped up to, and then the vibe songs you have like for example like Touchy and Coffee Bean. Like Coffee Beans, like I personally like when I listen to them, I feel like Coffee Bean was like a vibe. Like that song was like a vibe. Like I would like just lay down and just vibe to it and touch it. Like that song is where I would get hyped up to, like all motivated, bro. Like, oh my, like I would always like when I would like before like Touchy got like archived, I would like have it on repeat, like cause that song went hard. I'm not gonna lie, like I would always have it on repeat, cause it went hard, and I would just go around walking to my classes, just listening to it. I was like, damn, it's fire. And then Coffee Bean is when I would just be in class, just vibing, just chilling, bro. I loved them.
I appreciate that, bro. Man, you're making me want to unarchive them. Um, yeah, I try to maintain the balance between the hard shit, the raw shit, and the smooth shit. Um, Especially when it comes to my production. But I think you guys are gonna hear a different side of me with this project that's coming up, and the you know pre and post cursors, if a post cursor is a thing. Um, I feel like things that I was doing on like Touch It and Coffee Bean helped me find the sound that I wanted to introduce myself to the world with, and now I have that sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
We'll be
exactly.
expecting it. Now, what some don't know is that you actually dropped an album your senior year or junior year.
Yeah, um, like June.
No, it was
No,
senior year.
my
Yeah.
senior year. Yeah, that's
Full
crazy. It
disclosure.
feels like it was longer ago. Yeah, I dropped Full Disclosure. Full Disclosure, I recognize as an EP, um, but it was definitely my first time building a body of work like that, um, and it's unlike anything that I'll ever make again. And in some ways, that's a good thing. But yeah, I feel like that was my moment to give people a little a little taste of like what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. And it
Yeah,
helps
very
yourself
like
out too. You
beautiful.
find yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. It's a super personal project. It's a family project. There's clips in there like me talking to my dad, who he and I hadn't had a super strong relationship for a long time in my life. Um, I mean, I have a feature from my brother on there. I have a feature from people I went to school with on there, just doing random vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out.
Wasn't there a
Karen Danger.
song where you like talked about your mom or something in it, or
Yeah,
something,
turn
or
up after
struggling?
you. That song made my mom cry. To this day,
Yeah.
sometimes it makes her eyes well up. Like it's really real. The music is really real.
Yeah.
Mm.
Very like beautiful pieces of work.
Thank
Not
you.
that much people, not that much artists like put their heart into their work. You feel me? Like they like they just make their work and they're like, all right, here I just release this new song. But like you're like different. You feel me? Like you're like you put like everything into your music. Like you'll take risk. You're a risk taker. Not that much people are like risk takers.
I
Mhm.
appreciate that, bro. I try not to get super comfortable in what I do, and it's a weird experience for me to decide what aspects of my life are good to go in terms of me writing about it and what stuff I need to live with and sit with. But I try to keep it as raw as possible when I write, and I really appreciate you. I really appreciate that commentary for real.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When's your next album coming out?
I can't give a definite release date, but I'll say sometime later this year.
Oh, so
With
you're
everything,
cooking up
what happened?
you're cooking up some heat.
Oh yeah, man. Every so often, it was like every day, but at this point, we're in the stages of perfecting the final touches of the project, adding embellishments here and there, securing the final features. But uh, yeah, I quietly have made so much music. Like I could put out multiple projects right now if I wanted to, but it's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Daniel,
What was that?
I haven't heard Daniel for a while. Daniel, you got any questions?
Yeah. Okay. So this question kind of floated my mind a little bit. So you yourself, you're a young artist, and a lot of younger artists have been unfortunately dying recently. I know one of the ones that had the biggest impact on me was Juice World back in December. He was only 21. Do these young artists dying so young, does it affect you in any way?
100% every time. Um, I feel like there's an aspect to the music industry that um, people, especially listeners, kind of forget um, that like these are real people behind the scenes, behind everything that's going on. And regardless of your choices, I don't think that anyone deserves to die as young as a lot of these rappers are dying, either from violence or from drug addiction or what have you. Um, and it makes me think about myself because I mean, some of these guys are 2 years younger than like a couple of my roommates. Some of these guys are like they only been in the game like as long as I've been making music, and it puts everything into perspective for me. It makes me feel like I have to be more cautious, keep my head down. You know,
Mhm.
it changes. Like the age of music that we're in right now is different. You as an artist, you got to worry about your geotag. You got to worry about numbers on buildings and posts. If you go on my page right now, there's not a single photo that has numbers on it or street names or anything. Like it's all blurred.
Hmm.
Damn, it's very
Yeah, it's just
impacting on others.
yeah,
Mhm.
Young.
it's just unfortunate how you. I mean, it feels like you can't even be open with your fans anymore because it's like you got the people who are trying to attack you and bring you to your downfall, like with the Pop Smoke situation, or you, the home invasion, just because he got caught slipping, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, man,
Feels
it's
like
really, really unfortunate and makes me really rethink the the brand that I'm maintaining in the music and like what I'm talking about because at the end of the day, we can't keep glorifying the things that we glorify and expect to get something different than what we get out of that, you know. And reality is reality, but um, it it puts into perspective my responsibility as a writer to make sure that I'm feeding people a pill and applesauce and not cake every day, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for people that are graduating? What like they like um like like people that are graduating and they don't know what to do.
Yeah, look within. I had a moment of loss. Uh, Again, after that crash that I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
it felt like I lost everything. My transportation to move to LA felt like I had no other option, and that's different. That's a different kind of situation because I already kind of had a plan. I had something to rebuild, but in a situation where you just have no clue what to do, just ask yourself what you want out of life, and if that's too much, ask yourself what you want out of the next 6 months, and then say, what can I do to get there? And compile a list, do pros and cons, talk to your elders, see what they've done wrong, right, indifferent, and learn from it. Figure out what it is that you want to see out of your bright-eyed years, basically, and what you want to get when you enter or when you exit those years. Even like looking at like I was saying before, different forms of education, different routes to getting to success as we know it. You know.
Yeah.
My bad, y'all. I had to go do something, but I got a question. What artists do you take influence from?
Oh man, that's one of my favorite questions.
Because it
uh,
seems like you kind of take influence from like a little bit of Frank Ocean, a little bit of like Jaden
oh
Smith.
yeah, yeah, man. I take a lot of influence from like Frank. Frank is blonde. Blonde completely changed how I looked at contemporary R&B. I take a lot of influence from Frank, from Andre 3000 and Outkast. I take a lot of influence from Kendrick Lamar, from Tupac, from like the West Coast greats, from Ice Cube, from um, I'm sorry, my phone did a weird thing.
You good? You
Am
good?
I coming through and everything?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
you're
yeah.
good.
fine.
You're good.
Oh yeah, my fault. Yeah, from Ice Cube, from like Nate Dogg, from the Outlaws. Um, but a lot of influence from Future and Smino and Young Thug and producers like Vision and Cardo Got Wings, Baby King, you know. Um, yeah, a lot of recent stuff, but a lot of older stuff, a lot of funk and soul influence in me. A lot of Prince, a lot of Jamiroquai, a lot of Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Do you listen to like a lot of like alternative rock, like My Chemical Romance, Blink 182, um, Rolling Stones and stuff?
Coming up, I did actually. I listened to, the kids who say I listen to everything. I was actually the kid that listened to everything. Um,
Yeah.
I had a lot of Panic at the Disco playing, a lot of Paramore. Um, you feel me? Some Coldplay, some
Yeah.
some grunge in
Coldplay's
there.
pretty good. What's your favorite song from Coldplay, if you don't mind me asking?
Man, my favorite Coldplay song. My favorite album is Parachutes. My favorite Coldplay song is probably Shiver, actually. That was probably the first Coldplay song I heard, and I heard it on Guitar Hero, I think. And my sister was already a Coldplay fan, my older sister, so she started putting me on game. Listen to Milo Xyloto. Changed a lot about what I think about alternative music.
Yeah, bro. I fuck with
Yeah,
Coldplay.
you mentioned Guitar Hero. Do you play any instruments?
Oh yeah, man. In middle school, I was in marching.
Get your fat ass on my room.
In middle school, I was in marching and jazz band.
My bad, yo, my
Um,
bad.
no sweat. I was in marching and jazz band, so I learned how to compose that way. And I took my first instrument was trombone. Then I learned mellophone. Then I learned trumpet. Then I learned a couple others that I don't even remember. But it translated into me spending a lot of time at the piano in the band room, and that ultimately ended up being the instrument that I love the most. So I still play it regularly. Also play guitar. Not very good at it.
um, Anybody got any more questions?
Do you smoke marijuana?
I plead the fifth.
Um, do you think it's something bad for people, or do you think it's something that's actually better since a lot of people are using it?
Here's the thing. I do smoke weed, um, but I think that a lot of people get marijuana use twisted um, because nobody can overdose on it, and it's not it's supposedly not chemically addictive, but there are a lot of people who are addicted to smoking weed. Yeah, I mean, either just for the simple fact that they're addicted to smoking weed, or because they roll it in tobacco and they're addicted to tobacco.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's about moderation for one, and about making sure that you're not escaping reality, because you can't escape reality. At the end of the day, all you can do is slow down your healing from hurt and um, distract yourself. And this is not the type of time where we need to be distracted. I don't really smoke like that. There was a time a minute ago where I would like every other breath is an inhale of smoke. You feel me? Like I'm faded all day,
Yeah.
but I still made sure that I could get my work done and be sharp for one.
Hmm.
And um, over time, as things started to speed up and heat up, in my career for one, but also in the world, I realized that now is not the time. It's not the time for me to be faded all day. I'll
Mhm.
like take a hit every now and then or whatever, but it's not for anything other than boredom for one. And there's other things to do when you're bored, but aside from that, like it's recreational use.
Yeah.
And when something is recreationally used and it's considered to be a drug, you have to be real careful with it, because regardless of what it is, it can dominate your life. And I've seen a lot of people who allow weed to like dominate when they're gonna eat, when they're gonna sleep, how they're gonna spend their money, or like it can't be that. And letting it get to that point is super, super unhealthy for people our age and younger, because our brains are still developing. You feel me?
Do you
Yeah.
have advice for people that are caught up in that shit, like letting that shit like take over them?
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I know everybody has their faith system and everything. I leaned into God. I leaned out of weed and I leaned into God, because I found myself battling things that I couldn't handle on my own, and that weed couldn't provide me an escape route from. And I never wanted to be a person that smokes as an escapist. I was just smoking because it was fun. Um, and if that's you, and you feel yourself starting to smoke to cope, stop smoking. Find something else. Find someone. Do some push-ups. Push-ups help me a lot. Like, people think I'm joking when I say that. I do push-ups a lot. When I'm frustrated or when I'm going through it. Um, but you can't lean into a substance. It'll trap you, and when it's gone, it'll be gone. And then what do you do from there?
Now, what major artists could you see yourself working with? Like, we already said that.
Yeah, I
Oh,
can I can touch a little more on it because I was thinking about it, bro. Major
yeah.
artists, um, major artists is a little different, but producers is super easy. Um, from the producer standpoint, like, there's so much talent out there that I draw inspiration from, that I'd love to get work with hands on. Um, I really like Wheezy. I really like Turbo. I really like Vision. If you guys are familiar, I really like Monty Booker. It's crazy. Monty Booker is one of the craziest producers out. He produced a lot for Zero Fatigue crew, a lot for Smino, a lot for uh, a few others like J2, Bari, and then. Um, but artists specifically, I feel like is going to come naturally. I think I was saying before.
Mhm.
Damn, that's right.
What keeps you sane
What
through the
happened?
ups and downs?
What keeps me sane?
Yeah.
Mhm.
My roots and my faith in God. I've lost it many times. Um, I felt like I don't know, excuse me, what's out there, what's up there. But I've received too many signs, and I've been pulled out of too many situations for me to not feel like my faith in God is not a super viable, valuable resource. And people can believe what they believe. I'm never a person that's like pushing faith onto people, but when you have nothing else, and there's been times when I've had literally nothing else, um, that's all you can do. Just pray.
Mhm.
Keep faith.
Yeah, for
Uh,
real. I'm blessed. I'm super blessed. Super, super blessed.
that's right.
Okay.
And
Well, Anybody have any more questions, or should we start wrapping it up?
Yeah, I can get another one. So teenage mental health is, I mean, I believe it's an issue, like a bigger issue than it's ever been. And you being a teen yourself, do you think it's important that teenagers get the medical help that they need, for their mental health, or do you think that
Oh,
it's just a part of developing?
oh, nah. I was a kid that was severely depressed. I had um, severe anxiety. I had night terrors. I had a bunch of crazy stuff going on, and I couldn't get the help that I needed for a long time. And um, it felt like it was just a fact of life for me until I went to like my third or fourth counseling or something, counseling therapy, and they referred me to a therapist, and it was like, wow, this has been a resource this entire time. A person who is trained to understand what I'm going through, even if they can't personally understand, they can medically understand it. I definitely recommend that every teen, whether your issues are big or small, like try to get some help, um, especially in the times that we're in. These are some of the most traumatizing and berating times of history. And if you can get help, go get that shit for real.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. Any
Yeah.
any more?
I mean, that's it for me. I don't really have
What
anything
about
else.
Samuel?
Yeah, that I asked everything.
All
Oh, I
right.
Yeah.
got one more actually.
Mhm.
Um, you seem like you're very wise, as you seem like you're really wise. Cause from I remember we ran into each other like a couple times, like at Rancho, and every like conversation we had, like you would seem like really wise, and like you had advice. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
you
Um, I
Yeah,
don't
you
know
I
if you
don't know if you
remember that.
remember, but when we would talk to you, you would like give us advice. I would see you as like a mentor. Um, and you really opened my eyes on certain things, like my
Yeah.
perception.
I don't know if you guys remember, but it was one of Asha's last days there at the school. He gave us a pep talk about what to expect, or what, just what he knew from his last few years at Rancho. And I don't know, it was really inspirational to me because it kind of helped me throughout my junior year. It wasn't like something super difficult to go through, but I always remember his advice.
Yeah,
right?
like I have another thing. Um, so like I've been through a lot of stuff, You feel me? Like mentally. Um, do you think that people who go through more stuff mentally are more prone to see and perceive like situations differently than people who don't go through anything?
Yeah, I mean that's how trauma works for sure. Um, traumatic experiences, um, traumatic experiences and occurrences in people's lives can put a lens on everything, and sometimes it makes it hard to function normally. But at the end of the day, I see my trauma as a badge of honor because it's stuff that I've overcome since then. I look at it as a battle scar, and I glorify that for myself.
Yeah.
I yeah, your advice like it actually like really helped me because it seemed like you been through all that shit. Like you knew what was up. Like I remember one of them something you said about don't take shit from no one and have your own boundaries of respect. I feel like that shit really helped me because I feel like when someone would disrespect me, like I would just like put them in their place, like tell them when they're crossing the line. You feel me? Like that shit really helped me throughout my like junior year. That shit really helped actually, and it got me like the respect I like wanted.
That's good, bro. I didn't know I had this kind of impact on you guys, and I really appreciate that I have for real.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's one of the biggest reasons we wanted to get you on here because, wisdom, especially from someone like you, as wise as you, is something that we really need during these times.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're really wise. Imagine like if you're impacting us from like like a few point outs like for high school. Imagine like how many other people you can like how you can inspire. You know,
Yeah.
and you could like give advice to other
Yeah.
people. It really helps them, and it really has them like it really like they really know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
All right. Anyway, have any more questions?
I'm
Uh,
good here. I think we
Good.
touched just about
Okay.
everything.
Is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up, Asha?
Then I just want to say to all my brothers and sisters out there right now, um, fighting the tyranny, keep fighting the tyranny. Um, it's these are horrifying times, horrible times, for freedom, for for equality, for justice. Um, and I want to encourage everybody to let the fear escape from their body, um, and to put their faith where their faith should be, in their heart. You know, um, man, I've been going insane in these four walls. You know, I've been trying to stay inside. I've been wearing my mask and everything. Um, and I'm sure everybody's tired, everybody's angry and angsty, and this has just made shit so much worse. But we're gonna come through the other side of the tunnel. You know, we're gonna get over the hump,
yeah.
God willing.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone go follow Asha's Instagram at asha.imuno
Mm-hmm. It'll be
and
in the
follow
description as well.
his follow his SoundCloud as well, asha.imuno, and go listen to his album
Everything
Full
linked down below.
Disclosure and his single Pagoda.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Oh, I also, just for the sake of saying, I also put out um, a little taster called Sunday. It's on SoundCloud. There's also a video for it on YouTube that I did with the boy Carrie and Rob Midnight. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All
Also, I
links
got
will be
another
in the
question.
description.
Yeah, all the links
Yeah.
will be in the
Okay.
description.